Okay, this is a challenging one tonight. Day 4 of my 30-day challenge in talking to camera, and the topic tonight is choosing the right adventure bike. This could go very, very badly. Let me just confirm exactly what ChatGPT said in my random list of topics. Yep, so how to choose the right adventure bike, pros and cons of different bikes. And tonight is actually a perfect example. I'm in the workshop. We've got our 4-day Adventure Academy about to start here tomorrow in Port Macquarie. And I've got a selection of bikes around me. So I've actually got 5 bikes in the workshop here tonight we can talk about. And I guess the first thing I would say when it comes to choosing the right adventure bike is there is no perfect adventure bike. And really, it doesn't have to be an adventure bike at all. It could be whatever motorcycle you've got, you can have an adventure on it. So, first of all, let's get rid of that stigma. Just because it's called an adventure bike doesn't necessarily mean that it's capable of going on adventures, and equally, even if it's not called an adventure bike, doesn't mean you can't make an adventure out of it. Case in point, little Honda Grom down here. Let's zoom in down on that one. This is quite a different little beast. Little 125cc 4-stroke single cylinder. This little thing I've had as a run around town bike for a few years now. It doesn't actually get ridden much. I think I've had it for 4 years, maybe more than that, and it's got less than 1,000 kilometres on it, so it really doesn't get used much. It does have knobby tyres, if that counts. Little knobs there, little Motos knobby tyres. So we can do some sort of adventures on it. Let's just flip around, we'll have a better look at it. Well, that's probably going to make you dizzy. So, little 125cc engine, doesn't make a lot of power. It's a 4-speed engine, or 4-speed gearbox I should say. It does have hydraulic brakes, front and rear. I've got a trick little Akrapovic copy exhaust on it. And you can see, as I said, it does have some Motos knobby tyres on there, little Motos GPS tyres. The seat is bloody uncomfortable. Fuel tank size, I don't even know. I think it's like 5 litres or something, but I think I've filled it up like 3 times. It just keeps on going. It does have some bark busters on there. That's essential on every bike. I think I mentioned that maybe yesterday. And a little RAM mount there so I can have on my phone on the bike. So, you could have all sorts of fun and adventures on that thing. It's certainly not called an adventure bike, but we could make it one. Next up, and I hope that spin around's not making you dizzy. Next up, the bike I'm riding right now and that I absolutely love, let's get that one in focus, is the Desert X Rally. This thing is an absolute ripper. So, newly released model, we're in early 2025 at the moment. This bike just got released midway through last year and it is the perfect machine for me. I'm going to come back to that though and explain why I think that's the perfect machine for me. 3 other bikes we've got here in the garage. So, again, I'll do the spin around thing. We have the brother to the Desert X Rally. We've got the Multistrada Rally. This is the bigger version or the bigger brother to the Desert X. The Multistrada V4 Rally. Biggest difference with this bike compared to the Desert X is a 19-inch front wheel, a V4 1160cc engine. So when I say V4, we've got 2 cylinders there and 2 cylinders on the other side in a V configuration. It is quite a big machine. It's a 30-litre fuel tank on it, so you get plenty of fuel range or potential of long fuel range anyway. And wider tyres and wheels on it, so 17-inch wheel on the back. Quite wide wheels, work really well on the bitumen. This thing puts out 160 horsepower, so a ridiculous amount of power. Excuse me, that's my phone. Get rid of that. A ridiculous amount of power to be putting through knobby tyres, so we do have to be a little bit, how would you say, cautious about the way you use that power. Let's come back to that one in a second. The other bike that we've got over here, BMW R1250 GSA. So this is the bigger version or the larger version in the GS range. Quite a different machine again to the Multistrada. They are a very wide bike. They're about as wide as they are long. You can see the boxer engine there, so we've got 2 cylinders sticking out either side of the bike in a flat twin configuration. It's quite obvious at the front of this bike when we get down low. So you can see 1 cylinder head in about here-ish, and then another cylinder head over here. So very different sort of engine configuration. Frankly, the BMW GS is kind of what a lot of people think about when you say adventure bike. They've been kind of synonymous with the word adventure in the last few years. Another option here, we've got a KTM 790. This actually used to be my bike. Paul Bray, coach that's helping us out this weekend, he's riding the KTM 790 now. So quite similar to the Desert X Rally. Biggest difference though is the engine configuration. So I mentioned it's a 790cc engine, but it is a parallel twin. So we've got 2 cylinders that run essentially vertically here, run up and down that way, and we can see not much of the engine at the front here, but we've basically got 2 cylinders running up there in a parallel twin configuration. Quite similar to the Desert X Rally though, in that it's 21-inch front wheel, 18-inch rear, and similar sort of setup in terms of, you know, 20-litre fuel tank, similar capacity and things like that. So, what is the right adventure bike? Well, as I mentioned, the Desert X Rally is the perfect choice for me. The reason I love this bike is the engine, first of all. So it's a V-twin engine, which is a really nice power characteristic, and I find it's got a really nice connection to the throttle. Suspension on this bike is really well upgraded suspension from Kayaba. Spin around, I hope I'm not making you sick. So, starting off, we've got Brembo brakes, they're radially mounted. Then we've got Trick Kayaba forks, closed cartridge forks that are essentially from a motocross or enduro bike. I mentioned that V-twin engine, so it's 937cc V-twin engine, but it's actually laid down in a, rather than being a V like that, it's more of an L-twin. So you can see this is the front cylinder here, and it's laid basically horizontal on the bike, and the rear cylinder comes up in this direction. That front cylinder being laid down, I find really helps to bring the centre of gravity of the bike down low, which helps the handling of the bike. Trick Termignoni full race exhaust system on it, which just sounds amazing with the V-twin engine. It's a beautiful thing. And this bike does have narrower off-road wheels on it. So the rims are a little bit narrower, 4 inches at the back and 2.15 inches on the front. So it means I can fit really aggressive knobby tyres, and you can see they're almost kind of enduro spec tyres that I've got fitted to this bike at the moment, which really allows me to push it around off-road and give it a hard time off-road. So, why do I think the Desert X Rally is the perfect bike for me, or the right adventure bike? Biggest thing for me, so I grew up, started riding when I was about 7 years old, off-road, so I've got a lot of off-road riding experience. I'm 52 now, so figure that out, 45 years of off-road riding experience, whatever it is. I've also done quite a bit of road riding over the years, so I'm comfortable on the road. I've done super motard racing, so I do still enjoy some bitumen twisties from now and time again, well, you know, now and again, but I don't seek out riding on the bitumen. That's not where my happy place is. My happy place is off-road. And so a bike like the Desert X really allows me to explore off-road, and the setup and geometry of the bike being a 21-inch front wheel, 18-inch rear, is more like an off-road enduro bike. So I can, as I said, take it off-road and feel comfortable on it. I've ridden the V4 Multistrada quite a lot in different situations off-road, and I've taken it down tracks like Billy Goat's Bluff in Victorian High Country. So if anyone's ridden Billy Goat's Bluff, you know it's a pretty gnarly enduro track, and I've taken a V4 Multistrada down that track and it handled it fine. But not my choice. I'd rather be on something that's a bit lighter and a bit more nimble and a bit more capable off-road. So the right adventure bike for you, I think, depends on your off-road riding experience. I think a lot of riders tend to decide they want to get into adventure riding, and I hate to say it, but they go and get a 1250 GS or GSA. And if your first riding experience off-road is on a big GSA, then man, your learning curve is really steep to figure out how to ride a motorcycle off-road. So my first word of advice for anyone looking to buy an adventure bike is buy something lighter, perhaps than what you think you should get. Something in that sort of 250 to 700cc single cylinder is a great place to start out riding and learning how to ride off-road. Yes, it might be a little bit more uncomfortable when you get into longer highway stretches. So, you know, a 700cc, 650cc single cylinder bike is a really good place to start. Or something mid-capacity like the Desert X Rally, again, is a really good place. It's that good middle ground, and it's the perfect compromise for me. It's comfortable on the highway. I've got cruise control on there, comfortable enough seat, but I can really shake it up off-road and get into some pretty cool places. So for me, this mid-capacity, call it 800cc through to 950cc twin cylinder configuration, typically maybe triple, is the perfect sort of adventure bike for my riding and what I think a lot of people should be looking at. And that's based on a lot of years off-road riding experience and on-road for that matter too. And that's the other thing I want to mention, that I have had a huge amount of experience riding with all the different brands, with BMW, with KTM, with Ducati. I've ridden Hondas, and so I think I can speak from a place of, what will we call it, a place of authority, that I've got a lot of experience with different brands of bikes, and I love the Ducati. Call me biased, but I do love that bike. It absolutely fits me to a T, and it's the right adventure bike for me. That's it. That is day 4 of my 30-day challenge talking to camera. Bit of a different one tonight, walking around and trying to point to bikes. Hope I didn't make you sick with the spinny camera movements. Let's see what tomorrow brings. Tomorrow we actually start our 4-day adventure academy in here. So we've got 15 riders that I'm doing 4 days of coaching with. It's going to be good. Looking forward to it. See you tomorrow.